Luke, have I got a story for you? Ooh. So, the other day I messaged you like, hey, do you want to do the podcast?
Yeah.
Well, there were two funny things about that. Number one, we said we were going to do it on Wednesday, and I messaged you on Tuesday to be like, hey, are you going to do it? Which, of course, was me. I thought it was Wednesday. That's the first stupid thing. The second stupid thing is you had already messaged me saying, hey, can we do it on Thursday instead? And I hadn't seen that message. That's the second stupid thing. But the third stupid thing is that I hadn't seen Grease yet. And I kind of, it was on the Tuesday, and I was like, oh, Luke's, can we do the podcast? You were like, no. I was like, blah, blah, blah. It took me until the day afterwards to be like, hold on a minute. I haven't seen Grease yet. So what would have happened, Luke, is, I'm giving away what film I'm going to do, because obviously it's going to be cold jokes. It's so funny. What would have happened, Luke, is if you would have been on Tuesday, like, oh yeah, let's do it, even though you originally said Wednesday,
yeah.
And then you messaged me Thursday, and I was messaging you on a Tuesday. If you would have said, yeah, let's do it on Tuesday, I can only imagine that what would have happened is we would have sat here, and at some point you would have gone, so, what do you want to talk about first? And then I'd have gone, oh shit, I haven't seen the film. So that's a funny story, isn't it, Luke?
It's hilarious, Michael. I mean, that is just like, not only did you not know what date it was, you hadn't seen the movie you wanted to review.
Yeah. So, but I have seen the film now, so we can do the review.
Back up, chump, Biggie Smalls rips it quick and kicks it quick. You know how black niggas get. With the hoods, fatigues, with the boots, with trees. Flipping trees, making crazy G's. Hitting buckshots at niggas that open spots on the avenue. Take my loot and I'm bagging. Pippin' hoes that drive Volvos and rodeos. Flash the roll, make a wet in they pantyhose. Damn, a nigga style is unorthodox. Grip the Glock when I walk down the crowded block. Just in case a nigga wanna act out, I just black out, blow the motherfucking back out. That's a real nigga for you.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out relatively recently at the cinema and see if they still hold up upon a second watch. This week, we're looking at the musical. Oh, sorry, I'm Michael. I'm doing voice for my co-host Luke. And this week, we're looking at the 1970 something musical Grease. And Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about that?
Sure, Michael. So, Grease is a 1978 musical romantic comedy film based on the 1971 musical of the same name. It was written by Bonnie Woodward and directed by Randall Kleiser in his theatrical film debut. It stars John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, Stockard Channing, Jeff Conaway. It was released on June the 16th, 1978, so 40 years ago and a bit. Obviously, we are doing Grease because it has been 40 years since it came out. And do you want to have a go at the budget, Michael?
14 million.
What do you say?
14 million.
It's 6 million. So, yeah, it's one of those which is like, oh god, is this the oldest movie we've reviewed?
You know what, actually, that's not
I think it
impossible. I'm gonna just have a quick look. Okay, so recent. Yeah, this is definitely the oldest film we've ever reviewed. I don't even know what the second oldest is, but I think the second oldest is like Predator or Coming to America or something. We've been on a real 80s thing recently. I mean 80s, 70s.
Yeah. Ages ago. Yeah.
And then, okay, we're moving from that afterwards. Anyway, so the important thing is, you need to ask me what the box office was.
Michael.
That's it. So box office, I'm going to guess box office was pretty high. I'm thinking 120 million.
You know what, Michael?
No, 90 million.
So your answer?
Oh, I bet I was bang on. See, I feel like films didn't really get into the 100 millions back then. I feel like it was almost quite rare. Okay, I'm going to split the difference. Go 105 million.
I love how you're being so specific over this when you're miles off. It's great. So you're right. It was a lot. It was 395 million. Almost 400 million. Jesus.
Well, that's a lot. Wow.
That's a lot.
I did not realize. Yeah, I thought it would just do like Sure, it makes some decent money, but I didn't realize they had that much money in the world back then.
Well, remember,
to be honest,
Star Wars came out a year earlier than this, and that grossed loads as well. Let's not forget.
What's this Star Wars you're talking about? I've never heard of that irrelevant 70s thing. Anyway, but the important question is, Luke, did you like this film?
Not really, Michael, I have to say.
Yeah, you know what, Luke? I thought this film was like dog shit. I mean, well, not terrible, but like, just, I was really, so this is kind of just my stance on the plot right here, but I was just so bored. Like, I was so shocked at how kind of, like, not even passable this film was. And I guess we'll go into that in a bit,
Yep.
but regardless of that stuff, I assume maybe we have nitpicks. Have you got any nitpicks, Luke?
Yes, Michael, I do. I do have nitpicks for this one.
How many you got?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, I've got 4, which means I get to go first. One of mine's a bit silly. I wrote it down, but do you remember when I went through a phase of saying fucking A? I did it in second year.
I think so, yeah.
I was like, oh, fucking A. This person says friggin' A, and that just isn't cool. But okay, my other one, so they literally leave their food at the diner. John Travolta and his woman, Sandy, I don't remember the actress's name.
Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John, there we go.
She's also a very famous singer, by the way.
I looked her up afterwards, and it's one of those kind of too many names all at once, and they're all first names, I think. Well, no, Newton's probably not a first name, but, whatever. Anyway, they walk into a diner, order their food, they literally walk out right away, and you can just see this, Big Mac-sized meal, like that, and they've just left it, and it's like, I get it, I don't know, I guess it's supposed to be spontaneous, and it's like, oh, that's the point, but just, who leaves their food like that, Luke? No one.
No.
Anyway, and then number 3. And actually, I don't want that one. No, okay, I've only got 3 because this one was not supposed to be there, and I accidentally put it in the nitpicks because I'm not very
That's so
smart.
unprofessional.
So the bit where the guy gets knocked out by the door. Now, I've been like people hit their head all the time, Like one time I was in my cupboard, which is on the lower counter. Jack was in his cupboard, which was on the upper counter. He left his door open like a dickhead, and I stood up and hit his cupboard door with the full force of my standing up, to the extent I bleeded. Bleeded? Oh dear. Bled. There we go. I hasten to remind everyone who remembers this. And that didn't knock me out. The point is, Luke, you don't knock yourself out from just banging your head on doors.
No, you don't. That is a good point, Michael. When that happened, I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
It was so stupid.
Yeah, it was one of my nitpicks as well, that one. Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, everything else I've got is for other stuff. So yeah. What are your 5, Luke?
My 5. So, the first one, I just think it's a general nitpick. Like, some of these kids do not look 17 because obviously they start the year,
yeah.
or even like 18. Like I think he's called Sammy. You know what I'm talking about? A lot of them are Italian.
Like really kind of, he looks like short and he kind of looks like a tall Danny DeVito.
Yeah, that guy. He looks about 35. And
Yes.
I'm not even exaggerating. Like, he's meant to be an 18-year-old kid at the most. Like,
Yes.
what the fuck? What's she called? Rizzo? That one? She
I don't remember many of the names, Luke, because when we do the characters, it's going to be a disaster, because I'm just like, oh, yeah. But yeah.
The one
Rizzo.
that didn't get pregnant.
Got
Yeah,
you.
she looks about 30 as well. So, that's the thing, like, Olivia Newton-John, she was, when the movie came out, she was actually 30 years old, which is interesting. So,
Wow.
obviously, she passes for, like, someone who's 18. So, I don't, it's not about how old the actor is. I don't really care. It's just, like, do you look like you could be in high school? And Rizzo does not, and that Sammy guy definitely does not. He literally looks twice the age of the guy he's meant to be playing. So yeah,
Yes.
that's my first nitpick. Second one, the guy gets knocked out by the car. That's just awful. The third one, I love this one. So it's when Danny, who's John Travolta, and Sandy, Olivia Newton-John, they go into the diner, and Danny's very self-conscious. He doesn't want to be seen with Sandy. So what does he do? He fucking sits them at, like, the table right in the middle fucking diner. Like, just not off to the side or whatever, just right in the middle. So if anybody just walks past, they can see them. Great stuff there, Danny, you fucking moron. Next up is that's okay. So it's this one. Yeah, I think it's a nitpick. So
okay, Luke.
So I don't know.
I'm gonna call you out on this one. If it's even slightly tenuous, I'm gonna call you out.
Okay, so I think that the shock that Sandy has. What the hell are you doing?
Sorry, no, I was just realizing that my microphone was pointing away from me and it was upsetting me.
It's like you were vaping. That's what it sounded like.
Alright.
So anyway, Sandy is shocked that Danny is at the same high school as her. Yeah, and here's the thing, like, I can understand, Danny, like, Sandy, what are you doing here? Because obviously she was meant to go back to Australia. But, like, did she not think there was, like, a chance he would be at the same high school as her? And when she says his name, it's Danny Zuko or whatever, and all the girls around her snicker, does she not think, maybe, because he's the same age as me and he lives in this area, maybe they know who he is and he actually goes to this high school? But no, she doesn't think of that. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a bit of a nitpick.
I think that was the first point where I got the sense that this film was just completely stupid, because it's like they're setting up this whole thing of, like you would assume, seeing as it's like, they were summer loves, they met each other in the summer, and then they departed, that the film would be about them kind of coming together in some way. The whole thing is she's going away somewhere, and even if she doesn't go back to Australia, the whole thing being set up is, they're in different places. They was summer love, and now it's gone. That's the whole thing with summer love. And then suddenly, they're just in the same high school, literally. Like, and she didn't even know. None of them knew. He didn't know. He thought she was going to Australia, but whatever. And it's just like, okay, so that was a bit weird.
Yeah.
What a pointless summer loving song.
So, did he not tell her, by the way, what school he was going to go to as well? Like, that's something else.
Yeah.
Like, if they're together all summer, it's like, what do you do? I'm in high school. Oh, really? Maybe.
Really? You look like 40. No, he looks younger.
No, he does, yeah. Anyway, he can pass for 80, but he can. So yeah, that's another nitpick. And my final one is that there is only one non-white person in this entire movie.
Okay, you know what? I wrote this down, and I didn't know where I was going to bring it up, but I thought you would bring it up at some point.
Yeah,
so yeah, I wrote.
You know me.
It's during the dance. During the dance, there's one black person in the background.
Yeah, it was like, that's the thing. I didn't notice there was like no black people. Then I saw that one black guy. I was like, oh yeah, like black people do exist. There's one.
I noticed that there was a point where I thought to myself, hold on a minute, there's no black people in this film. I can't remember where it was, but it was like, there was a specific moment where it was like, I thought to myself, wait a minute, where are the black people? And I think it might have been when he was trying out for all the different sports. Oh, it's when they were playing basketball, that was it. So you know how, he's trying out for different sports, starts playing basketball. And I'm like, wow, this is a pretty pasty basketball team you got there. Yeah. And the thing is, they're wearing like those 70s clothes that people, those like gym clothes people used to wear in the past, just look so white. Like the kind of high riding, tight shorts. And you just are like, hello lads, let's go run track.
Yeah.
And then anyway, so noticed it then, and then
not very diverse. But the thing is, it is historically accurate, because this movie was set in the 1950s, and so obviously segregation was still very much a part of American life in the 1950s. So maybe it's not a nitpick. Maybe it's a nitpick on society in general in the 50s. Yeah,
that's true. Maybe we should nitpick society. I think that's very woke of us, saying our nitpick of society is racial segregation. It's just a nitpick.
Yeah, just a nitpick. That's all it is, just a nitpick. So, okay.
It's just bothering me a tiny bit.
So, those are our nitpicks, and I think we need to go over the plot, Michael, because I think we should do this before we get into nitpicks, but we didn't. Still be a bit rusty. So, obviously, the story in Greece, the film depicts the lives of two high school seniors, a bad boy, played by John Travolta, and a good girl, played by Olivia Newton-John, in the late 1950s. And just a bit of background on Grease, it was successful both critically and commercially. Its soundtrack album ended in 1978 as the second best-selling album of the year in the United States, behind the soundtrack of the 1977 blockbuster Saturday Night Fever, and earned the film its lone Oscar nomination for Hopelessly Devoted to You, which lost the Academy Award for Best Original Song. There you go. Bit of background on Grease and the plot. So, Michael, why you said at the start you thought this movie was dog shit, I believe. That was the phrase you used.
Yeah.
So
well, first of
explain.
all, I want to talk. I just want to say this up front. This isn't why I thought the film was bad, but this was something that I was surprised by. I thought this film had like a lot more to do with motorbikes. I thought, first of all, I thought Grease Lightning was a motorbike. Also, I thought John Travolta rode a motorbike in this film. Turns out there's nothing to do with motorbikes in this whole film. So there's me like a moron. But the reason I hated this is because the conflict was just so like stupid. Because what kept happening, the film was kind of just like, oh look, they're friends. Oh, and then it's kind of like, I feel like the formula was they're friends. Then there's a pointless conflict. Then something completely random happens. Then they're like friends again, or I guess friends like in love. So it's kind of like, so first of all they're in love, and then it's like, oh no, she's not very close to me. And then, well, this is kind of like double conflict. So then they meet each other. It's like, oh, it's fine. But then he's like, hey, I don't need you. You get out of here, you wench. That's what they used to say. And then she's like, oh no, he's acting like a dickhead in front of his friends to impress them. So now I'm angry. And then they have this slumber party, which just, I mean, as she gets her ears pierced, that's great. I don't even know what anything was happening there. And then John Travolta shows up and he's like, no, I'm not going to talk to her. I'm just going to walk off for some reason. Hey, I'm not that Italian American actually, but I talk like I am for some reason. Hey. Anyway. And then like literally, she's with this other guy who seems like a really good guy. I mean, I don't know, I guess he's supposed to be dumb. And then John Travolta falls over. He's doing the hurdles, he falls over, and she's like, oh wait, I love you now, because you fell over some hurdles.
Yeah, so here's the thing, Michael.
Yeah.
So I just want to jump in on that.
Yeah.
Where is it? I'm looking on the Wikipedia page here, and I believe there is a line which talks about that scene. I'm just gonna try and find it because it's because as you mentioned, he trips over the hurdle, and so fuck. Where is it? Where is it, Michael? Where is it? I can't find it anywhere.
Oh no! What a disaster.
Okay, so here we go. I've got the line. Danny proves to be a successful runner, which impresses Sandy and angers Tom. That's the line from the movie. From the Wikipedia page.
The plot synopsis, yeah.
Yeah, the plot synopsis, exactly.
That's not true.
That does not happen in the movie. Danny is not a successful runner. That does not impress Sandy, and it does not anger Tom. Three things.
None of those things are true.
Those things happen. It's just like, what? And the thing is, like, that right there would actually be, like, something that happened. But he just trips over a hurdle and she runs over and she's like, oh, ask me out to the dance or whatever, or something.
Yes. The whole like, thing with, like, the sport was just a huge waste of time. And for some reason they bring it back at the end. He, like, shows up and he's in a kind of sports jersey. And like, hey, why aren't you wearing a leather jacket? You set out? And he's like, hey, I'm doing sport now.
For Sandy.
And it's like, okay, but you didn't... Ugh. Anyway,
yeah, even though...
And then
sorry, we're jumping over ourselves to criticize this movie here. But yeah, I was just going to say, even the reason why she was upset with him at that time was because that he tried to make out with her and she didn't want that. Not because the clothes that he was wearing.
Sorry.
Yeah, just, he's like wearing like a jock shirt or jumper or whatever, sweater. And like, well, that's not the reason why, she didn't want to see you. It's, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, athletes are never abusive towards women.
Good point.
Anyway, so I was going to say, going on from she falls in love with him because he's fallen over some hurdles.
Yep.
And then they go to this dance. It's like, the dance is fine, I guess. Possibly the dance is the most entertaining stuff that happens. But then, like, he starts dancing with this random, like, floozy, who I don't really know exactly who she is.
Friend of the family.
Or if she has anything to do with anything. And he, like, dances with her, and she storms off. So it's like, okay, there's another conflict. But then it's like, nothing happens from that. It's not like, he doesn't even see her again. And I feel like they don't even bring that up. I mean, I think he's, like, there's a throwaway line, like, hey, I'm sorry about that girl I was with. And she's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they go to see the Blob.
Yes.
Of course. Because you've got to see the Blob. Because that's just so scary. And then he, like you say, he tries to make out with her. Well, first of all, he gives her a ring. And okay, this is really weird, because I went back and I listened to this and I couldn't hear what he said. he hands her the ring and he says something, and I can't tell what words he said. But the words sounded almost like he said "marry me," but I don't think he could have said that.
No.
But he said something.
Yeah.
Do you know what he said? Because
don't
it was
remember.
the most slurred thing ever. He sounded like he said "marry me," and then he like handed her a ring, and I was like, "What is this?" But I don't know what. I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah. So I don't remember not. Sorry, I remember I don't remember not realizing what he was saying. So it wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah, but anyway, and then she's like, "Oh, thanks for this ring, I guess. We're friends." And then
No, she says something else though, doesn't she?
Okay, I'm trying to remember. What
so
did she
I
say?
thought you were going to bring this up right now. She says,
Right.
"Now I know you respect me," because
Oh,
he gave her a ring.
Oh god, yeah, that's.
And like it's the exact opposite. Like obviously, giving the ring doesn't mean that he doesn't respect her, but the fact that he had to buy the ring for her shows that he did something wrong, and so he's trying to make up for it. So
yeah. Sorry, that's terrible. And then he tries to he does the old arty ziff on the prom night routine where he's trying to kiss her, and she's like, "No, don't."
Hey, come on, nobody's looking.
Rapist. Hey. And then she runs away, and he's like, "You're gonna walk out of a drive-in movie?"
It's the craziest thing I ever seen.
Accents, aren't they funny?
Hilarious.
And then I can't think. Are there any other ups and downs in their relationship from that point onwards? It kind of just seems like I honestly can't even remember what happens to the rest of the film. It's sort of just like, don't they just say, "Hey," oh wait, yeah, and then literally the next thing that happens, isn't it, that he just says, "Hey, I'm gonna show up dressed in a new outfit," and she's gonna show up dressed in like a greaser.
Yes. Well, so he is gonna race at the whatever those things are in America. I don't know what you call them.
Drag races.
No, I know what he's doing, but like the actual.
Oh, you mean like the
the
sewer?
sewer.
But it's not like a sewer. But yeah, see, they have those.
Yeah,
in
I was going to say, but they have those in GTA, don't they? I don't know what they're called, but anyway, they're going to race there,
Yeah,
and she obviously turns up, and before she turns up, she says to Rizzo, whatever. She says, "I have to speak to Danny," and it's like, what? Well, why? Why do you have to speak to him? It's just what's going on? Like you're upset with him, and then now you have to speak. Like it just doesn't make a lot of sense, and there's like no like contingency here. It's just a load of shit that happens. And it's like you could be dropped into any point in this movie, and it could work for you. Basically, you don't have to know what the hell happened like in the previous like hour and a bit, like because it's just like, oh, nothing matters. What happened like 5 minutes ago, that doesn't matter. 10 minutes ago, that doesn't matter. Whatever. Let's just move on to the next scene and let's dance and let's drive cars really really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, just an aside, this has nothing to do with the romance, but the beef with the Scorpion gang.
Yes.
First of all, I don't know if it ever says this. I don't know what Danny Zuko's gang is called, but it kind of like felt a bit asymmetric to me because it's like in for example, West Side Story, you have the Jets and the Sharks. It's like two different groups. In this one, you've got the Scorpions, and then you've just got Danny Zuko's guys. And that bothered me. I wish they had a name. I wish it was like, "Hey, you don't mess with the hummingbirds."
The hummingbirds.
Yeah, that's the name I came up with right on the spot. But yeah, like, I don't know, yeah, my more point, aside from the fact we don't know Danny Zuko's gang's name, is that I have no idea who these Scorpion guys are, and I'm not at all invested in them getting their comeuppance.
No, so at first I thought the Scorpion gang, whatever, they were from a different school, but apparently they're not, because the guy goes to the high school prom, and he's, pulling into the car park in, like, what's the high school called again?
Rydell?
Rydell, that's it. He's pulling into the Rydell high school car park when he picks up Rizzo and her friend. So they're not even like different schools like competing against each other. They're just in the same school. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the whole deal with that was. But yeah, basically, Michael, my issue with this plot was there really isn't a plot. Like,
yeah,
essentially. So as you mentioned, the first time I thought, oh, maybe this movie's going to be a bit shit, was when Sandy doesn't realise that, oh, wait, this Danny Zuko guy, all these girls know him. And she just doesn't, think in her head, oh, wait, they're snickering when I mentioned his name. Maybe, he's here at this high school. Then she flirts with this football player, in the what are they call a pet rally? That's what they call pet
Yes.
rally on Saturday night. And so I thought, okay, this is where this movie's going to go, because obviously I haven't seen it before. It's going to be like John Travolta competing against this football guy for Sandy, and eventually, obviously, she's going to end up with John Travolta, and it's going to go on, throughout the whole movie. That does not happen, obviously. She's like with him for like one scene. They're in the diner having ice cream, and then 15 minutes later, oh look, she's back with John Travolta after he trips over a hurdle. Like, basically,
So stupid.
like that's the thing. Like, they're happy an hour into the movie, they're like happy again, and it's like their issues resolved. And I was thinking then, like, well, what are they going to do for the next like 40 minutes? And that's the thing. There's no plot. Like, she's not happy with him, then she is. They dance, then she isn't because he dances with another girl. Then she's happy again for some reason. Then they go to the drive-in, then she's not happy. Then she is happy
She's
again.
happy, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, there's no like coherent story
For some
that is
reason, my
being
phone is
told.
making a noise.
Well, thanks for mentioning that, Michael.
Sorry. It's just that I was worried it was going to get picked up in the thing, and I don't know why it was.
Yeah.
Why that was even happening.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a story at all. Though, actually, there was a second. Well, the time when I realized this movie was going to be shit, and I was like, oh god, this isn't good, is when the second time that Danny and Sandy meet, and obviously it was the second time when something had happened in the movie, and I was like, oh god, what the hell's going on here? And it confirmed that this movie was not going to be good. So when they meet for the second time, like, Danny's, trying to impress his friend, being slightly different. Well, not slightly different, completely different to how he was around Sandy. And then Sandy says this line like, what happened to the Danny I met at the beach? And it's so forced. And it's like, he didn't even like say anything that crazy. He was just like a bit different, like he's saying, oh, I'm rocking and rolling, you know how it is, And like, that's like completely like, that blows her mind.
I know.
And she's like, what happened to the Danny I met at the beach? It's awful, Michael. It's
Why
just,
are you different around your friends?
Yeah, like,
I am so
can't she tell?
confused.
Yeah, that's like, he didn't even say anything that bad either.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he was just having a bit of fun, and obviously being a bit rude, you could say, but like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I've tried to the accent. Yeah, so that was bad. And throughout the rest of the movie, because, like I said, it doesn't have the story, it doesn't have that story I mentioned when, Sandy's deciding whether to go for this simple, dumb football guy or John Travolta. It's just mindless filler. Like, Danny is trying out some sports, as we mentioned. That whole sequence is really weird. Like, when he's just doing baseball and basketball. It's like, what the fuck does this have to do with the movie? Like, I'm not really sure why.
It would have made so much
in.
more sense if he actually, if that sports thing actually was something that played into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Side note, I did like the bit where he snapped the guy's face mask. He's playing baseball, and I don't know what it's called. See, I want to say wicket keeper. Obviously, it's not a wicket keeper. Do you know what the guy is called in baseball that isn't a wicket keeper but has the same function as a wicket keeper?
You know what, Michael? I do, but I can't remember.
Yeah, anyway.
And it's not that important.
Is it the shortstop, or is the shortstop something else?
No, it's not the shortstop.
No, shortstop's, he stops it short.
That would
Anyway,
make sense.
so basically, he gets angry at the guy because he keeps missing, and then he hits it, and then it's a foul, and the guy says foul, and then he, pings his face mask. And I thought that was kind of funny, because it was like, oh, he missed it, he hit it, and it was about, it kind of reminded me of Happy Gilmore. And who doesn't love Happy Gilmore? But yeah, for some reason that, what would be good actually, if this film was Happy Gilmore. It was like, my name's John Travolta, and all I've ever wanted to do was play hockey. I hope you've seen Happy Gilmore.
I have, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so
anyway,
I was just
anything else to
going.
say about the plot?
Yeah, as you can tell. So I was talking about the mindless filler with Danny trying to get sports. There was also like a couple of songs which we'll get onto later.
Yes.
And we'll review how good they were, but just the fact that they were in this movie, like the Beauty School Dropout song, it goes on for about 4 minutes, and just like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, it's about a character called Frenchie, who is not one of the she's not one of the top 4 important characters in this movie, and so you're devoting a lot of time to like a side character here, and it's just such a boring, inane song. And
Beauty School Dropout.
Yeah, it doesn't really say anything either. It's just whatever, man. Yeah, I'm really, when I watch this movie, I'm really impressed. That's the thing, like, it's a classic. It's known as, like, a classic, like, it's a very famous movie, grossed $395 million, so I came into this expecting, like, oh, it's gonna be, good. But it's not good. It's just, like, really poor. It's incredible how much movie making has progressed in 40 years.
Yeah, but it's insane because even, for example, like, I've seen not 70s but 80s high school dramas, like, obviously there's The Breakfast Club, there is 16 Candles, and then, of course, there's not quite the same thing, but Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like, there are a lot of kind of fun films I can think of that play a lot of, hey, we're in high school, isn't it fun being in high school?
Yes.
And yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a bit of a different one. But for example, 16 Candles is literally about, a girl in the early 80s in high school and she wants to fall in love. But there's some fun characters, and I think that is also the film with a racist Chinese guy in it. So we love that. But yeah, there's like a whole load of films like that. And those films are kind of enjoyable and competent, and, I wouldn't be surprised if the average person didn't love them. But they're still, like, fine, because there's a basic kind of conflict of, there's this girl and she's ugly, but she wants to get a boyfriend, things like that. Whereas, yeah, this film, it doesn't, like, the thing I said with Mamma Mia, and we're going to go kind of, I think there's going to be some comparisons to Mamma Mia, especially maybe when we kind of summarize, or at least I'm going to compare it to Mamma Mia when I summarize, because obviously I do my films relative to each other.
Yeah.
But with Mamma Mia, my stance was like, okay, if you're the type of person who would like this film, then, oh yeah, you'll like this film. But if you're the type of person who would like Grease, then just, die, basically. I mean, I can't say like, oh yeah, if you're a particular type of person who'll like this film, I don't want to know any type of person who likes this film. Like, I don't want to associate with them.
The thing is with Mamma Mia, like, there's a song every 3 minutes, it seems. There's about 21 songs, I think, in total, including after credits, I believe. In this movie, there's not that many songs. So there's about, actually, you know what, Michael, I will check how many songs there are. Obviously, we'll go over them in the musical section later.
But yeah, you can check now.
Okay, so apparently there's 26.
That doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't.
That must be, you just, I don't know. Anyway, are you done with the plot, by the way?
Yeah.
Just while you can possibly look, because the other thing we want to talk about now is quite brief, I think, just the way this film shows high school. Whenever I see a film showing high school, I always remember, of course, even though it's not about high school, it's about college, but the Simpsons episode, Homer Goes to College. And one of the things that I find interesting about films from the 60s and the 70s is that they have this very callous mentality of nerds deserve to be bullied. And it all started with, and I feel like, here's a funny fact, when we did Coming to America, I mentioned somebody called Jerry Lewis. And Jerry Lewis is actually shown in the credits to this film. Like, they when they go to see The Blob, I think they're watching a trailer for something, and Jerry Lewis is mentioned. So Jerry Lewis, of course, did the original version of The Nutty Professor, while Eddie Murphy did the more popular possibly, and I think slightly better, remake of The Nutty Professor. But the funny thing about Jerry Lewis's version of The Nutty Professor is that the message is literally, look at this fucking geek. He's just so fucking nerdy. I hope he literally dies. I hate him. That's the message of Jerry Lewis's Nutty Professor, compared to Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor, where it's like, look at this poor, lovable guy, we want him to ultimately get loved for who he is. The message of Jerry Lewis' Nutty Professor is literally just, we fucking hate nerds. And in this film, there's this guy called Eugene, and literally the whole thing is, fuck this guy. Like, they just, like, the good guys, the people who are supposed to be like Danny Zuko and all that lot, basically just bully him, and then they throw a pie at him. And I just find that interesting, because it kind of reminds me of course, Homer Simpson's famous line, "Nerd!"
Nerds! Like that.
And he's like, and he goes to the joke, "Hey buddy, did you get a look at that nerd?" "Pardon me, sir?" So yeah, basically this idea of like, there's just two kinds of people, and there's cool kids and there's nerds. And of course, eventually during the 80s and the 90s and everything else, nerds became cool, and now we have the Big Bang Theory. So you know what, maybe the people in Greece were onto something, if they could have prevented the Big Bang Theory. And the other thing is...
Well, that's the thing, Michael.
Okay, yeah.
You gotta imagine the people, all the characters in that movie, they probably had pretty shitty lives.
That's true.
Think about it. So yeah, the nerds really won in the long run. It's the important thing.
Yeah, that's true, you're right. And the other thing is, I guess it's worth talking really briefly about the rapey bit. So, okay, the main thing I'm thinking of is, so obviously there's John Travolta stuff, but like he kind of forces himself upon Sandy, but that's kind of treated as a bad thing, so that's fine. But the bit that stuck out to me was, and this is something you always want to look out for in 70s, 80s, and unfortunately even more recent films, of there's a guy, he's on the bleachers and he's like staring up some girls' skirts, and they're like, hey, don't stare at our skirts, and it's like, oh, that guy, oh.
Oh, what a character.
High school antics. So that's just classic.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was thinking, watching that, I was like, wait, I swear recently, like, it became a crime, or apart from one Tory MP, I think blocked it. But
upskirting.
It became, upskirting. I think it was just taking pictures, but that became a crime of sexual assault. So yeah, 40 years later, that particular scene does not look good.
Yes. But apart from that, I don't really have that much else to say apart from, I guess, just the other thing about obviously this film is very simplistic, and high school isn't that simple, and a lot of high school things in America are like really dumb. I was just going to say, like, I don't know before this movie if there was any stereotypes of like high school, but certainly like afterwards, as you mentioned before, you got like The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and a lot of high school movies that came after Grease. And I do wonder, like, did the stereotypes of high school, were they popularized by this movie? Like, oh, cool kids, with their cars and whatever, and you got that Eugene guy, the nerd, the nerd, and then like the buttoned up, pretty, girl. Of course, the girls who wear pink, which we see in the classic Mean Girls. Remember, Luke, on Wednesdays we wear pink.
Yes. I mean, I haven't seen Mean Girls in ages.
What? Oh, good. I thought you were going to say. I thought you were just going to leave it. Saying in ages is fine. Yeah. Otherwise, we would have had a problem.
Don't remember that, but whatever. So yeah, otherwise we would have had a problem. Yeah, maybe we should review Mean Girls.
Yeah, it should be called Meme Girls because it's kind of just a meme at this point.
Yeah.
Let's call it Meme Girls.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a remake actually, because I believe it came out in 2004, so it's due for a remake.
I don't know. The thing is, I'll probably do a soft reboot.
It
will be her daughter.
Yeah.
It will be about Kathy, and she's South African, but she's really serious about how South Africans are getting about the white genocide going on in South Africa, and the whole film is just her talking about that. So it's like, hey, this is Kathy. I think her name's Kathy. She's from South Africa, and she's like, yeah. Ever since Nelson Mandela gave them equal rights, they've just been abusing us and attacking us. And I was like, oh, okay. I think that would be good.
Yep. Yeah. Fox News' new favourite movie, that'll be great. So when this movie came out, I don't know if high school stereotypes were already existed and this movie just played upon them, or it created them. It wasn't around in the 70s, so I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely there's a lot of cliches and stuff in here. And yeah, I guess it's still influential today. Like if you just watch modern cartoons or just sitcoms that are based in a high school, then yeah, you're going to get something along the lines of Grease. Like things haven't changed that much, I feel. Yeah, actually, you know what? 21 Jump Street kind of tried to. It was 21 Jump Street tried to end that. It was like the cool kids are actually the ones who are like socially conscious and like nice and all that.
Yeah. So, yeah. We're making progress. We're now getting the anti-high school drama, where it's actually acknowledging the fact that a lot of times the smart people are kind of cool and cool people are dumb. And anyway, but yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about the high school stuff. And also, I guess, the fact that the whole gang thing was kind of irrelevant. You really feel like I could have done something with that. And maybe put that in the high school context. But yeah, apart from that, nothing else to say. So next is either characters or music, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Shall we go on to the music part, I believe?
Yeah, let's do the music. We're go on to I know you love music.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I looked at the plot, and in every paragraph there's a song that was sung around the time of what the plot's talking about. So I went through it, and there's, I think, 12 actual songs. So there's not 26, as I said before, and there's only 12. So that seems more like it, because I looked at I think it's the soundtrack overall, which is there's 26 songs on the soundtrack, which is obviously different to actually songs sung in a musical way in this movie. So the first one is Grease. That's the first one. Obviously, it's the opening credits.
Grease, high school of the future.
Of the past, really. That would have been better, to be honest.
But I don't know. I thought that sounded. I thought the song was more kind of futuristic sounding. So I can't actually remember how the Grease song goes, Luke, but I know of it in my head.
Yeah, I can picture it in my head. I can't really. I mean, there's not much to say because obviously
kind of bothering me.
Yeah, it's over a cartoon, but yeah. Okay, so shall we just move on to the next one then?
Yes, next one is Summer Loving.
Summer Nights.
Summer Nights. I didn't know this, Luke. So that's obviously, first thing I think is worth pointing out is I didn't know many of these songs, so I'm just going to mention whether or not I knew these songs beforehand. Obviously, I'd heard of this song. This is probably the best song because it's like, it actually makes sense that they're singing it. It's quite a good song. It establishes the characters and their positions to each other. So at this point, like, you'd think the film would be good. I think up until this point, I was like, okay, this film's good. You know, it's like, oh, they had a summer love. You know, the guys, they only care about did she put out. The girls are like, hey, you know, did you have a car, blah, blah, blah. It all works completely, and it's a good song.
Yeah, I agree. When I watched this for the first time, I was like, yeah, well, I was interested that the best song, or the most famous song, I'd say, probably, was like the first song. That was interesting, but I guess it has to happen, obviously, because it's, you know, explaining summer that John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John had and all that. And yeah, it was like, you make a good point. It does set the scene quite well, how each of them think, you know, how each of their friends think. And so yeah, it was good. I did enjoy this particular song. Yeah, next up, unless you want to say...
No, sorry, I was just going to say next up too. I was going to interrupt you and say next up.
Next up, we have Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee, and that's when Rizzo makes fun of Sandy's innocent nature. You know, when she's putting on a wig.
Didn't care about that song. That was the first. I hadn't heard that song. I thought that the song wasn't very good. I suppose the one good thing you would say is that it does kind of still actually play off of a main character's personality traits. I didn't think the song sounded very good. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, this kind of music isn't the kind of music I would typically put on, you know, to jam to.
It's not quite Eminem, is it?
Yeah, but I, for example, enjoyed the Summer Loving song. I was like, okay, I do. This song, I didn't enjoy it at all. But yeah, so the only good thing I'd say is that at least it's still actually developing the personality traits of a major character.
Yes.
But in terms of actual enjoyment of the music, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll move on to the next one, which is when Sandy laments over her feelings towards Danny despite his early behaviour in Hopelessly Devoted to You, which was nominated for an Academy Award.
Nothing
so this is just Olivia Newton-John.
To you.
Yeah, there's the lyrics.
That was Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Sinead O'Connor. So yeah, Hopelessly Devoted to You. It's just a very sweet, nice song.
Yeah,
it's interesting that this was the one.
Either.
Yeah.
And like I say, it is interesting that like you say, it's interesting that one was nominated for an Oscar, because
yeah, it's just like it's nice. It's nice. Olivia Newton-John as well. You know, it's when she's really, you know, strutting her stuff. You know, showing how talented she is. But yeah, it's okay. Next up, we've got this song. Danny and Kenickie explain the modifications they could add to make their car a hot-running sex machine, Greased Lightning.
Okay, yeah, obviously I know this song. Go Greased Lightning, do. I mean, this song is possibly, I would say, more famous than Summer Loving, by the way.
Well, I don't know about
I hate
that.
to disagree with you there. I don't know. See, actually, you know what I think, though? I think that most of the time, because have you ever been in, like, I don't want to say like a club, but like a disco, and heard this song play? Because everyone knows the dance moves to Greased Lightning. You do that thing where you kind of move your hand in front of you, and you go, and then you stick your hand in the air and put it to the side. So like, you move your hand in front of you, do. Greased Lightning, and when you do Greased Lightning, you put your hand in the air and put it to the side. You remember that dance move, don't you, Luke?
Yes, I think
well,
I do.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I've heard that song played in a club, and what they usually do is they do both of them, it goes into the other one, like Greased Lightning, go Greased Lightning, do. doo-doo, doo-doo. So basically, Luke, I think that it's a draw because most people seem to just mash those two songs together.
Nah. Summer Nights is definitely better. You obviously do.
I'm not.
Well, it's
I'm
more
not actually
famous.
saying. Oh, okay, well, you know what, Luke? I think.
Well, that's why it's after. It's after, innit? It's like, oh, warm up with a bit of Grease Lightning, and then we go to the main
Luke,
event,
okay.
which is Summer Nights.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I agree with your logic there, Luke. But yeah, so this song is. I mean, I think it's possibly another good song. Like, I think obviously this is a song.
Oh no, yeah, it's good.
But it also the good thing is it's good. It sounds good. The bad thing is that it's not advancing anyone's character, and also the fact that the car, like the film's called Grease. This is why I said that I thought Grease Lightning was about a motorbike, and that this film was about motorbikes. I don't know why I had this idea in my head that there was going to be a specific motorbike that was going to play into this film. Like it was going to be like, oh, at the end he rides off on a motorbike and it's a motorbike they've established. The car is kind of irrelevant, so it doesn't really matter. Like the film's called Grease, and you'd think it would be kind of about being a mechanic, because you get greasy. I mean, obviously they put grease in their hair, and that's kind of why it's called Grease. But you also get grease on you when you're a mechanic, a double entendre. But yeah, the mechanic stuff is kind of irrelevant, and they have this song about it. I'm like, well, I don't care about this car.
Well, the car's important, Michael.
Otherwise, how can I do that? How can I do that unimportant drag race?
Yeah. So Grease Lightning. The thing is, I like the song, but
yeah,
I don't know. The dancing was kind of weird. Not in a bad way necessarily. It was just like, oh, there's a lot of. Okay, so these guys, they're meant to be really
macho.
Macho, exactly. That's a good word. Yeah, they're dancing like. I don't want to. You see, I didn't want to say that, Michael. I didn't want to say that.
They're dancing like members of the LGBTQ community.
Exactly. That's a much more politically correct way to try and say
to denigrate them.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about the other day, Luke? There's a bit in The Simpsons where the critic comes and he's hanging out with Patty and Selma and he's telling them everyone who's gay. And he says MacGyver is gay. And then they give him a wedgie and hang him from the gutter.
Yes.
And Bart drives along and says, haha, you shouldn't have bad-mouthed MacGyver. But the thing is, Luke, you're not bad-mouthing someone if you say they're gay. So very unprogressive.
You know
what? There was actually one other thing I wanted to say. I can't remember what it was. But it probably was... Oh, yeah, sorry. There was a good cut in the Grease Lightning song where he goes under the car and then he comes out and he's in a completely different place. I like that.
Yeah, that's
like
good.
He goes under the car and then it cuts and it's in this magical place. So well done then. But apart from that...
Yeah. Okay, Michael, so the next one. You're going to love this. Beauty School Dropout. So this is when Frenchie, whose hair has turned bright pink, tells a waitress she's dropped out of a beauty school, Jesus, and is visited by a guardian angel who advises her to return to Rydell.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to say this. I didn't hate the music itself. I didn't love the music. I don't think the music was as good as, say, Grease Lightning or Summer Nights. However, I did like the do 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 do. I like that kind of tune. But obviously, as far as just advancing characters that mean anything goes or mattering to the story at all, this song gets a big F. It gets an F minus.
Yeah,
it gets a U.
It's like, why am I watching this? Like, it's if in Mamma Mia, if they did a story about the fiance, the man, what's he called? The guy who plays Howard Stark in the Marvel Universe.
I can't remember, to be honest.
Well, you know what? The husband to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if he had like a 4-minute song on his own. Yeah, it's like, it's not what the movie is about, is it? And again, like telling, okay, the song isn't the worst, but like it's not really about that important thing. Like, oh, she dropped out of beauty school, go back to high school. Isn't that like the obvious thing that you should do?
Yes. Yeah. Terrible. Awful. Hated it.
So next up we have the dance. Okay, so like, I don't know if this was a real TV show. I'm just not going to question it and say it was, and this actually is something that happened in the 50s when like a TV show went round to various high schools and, they had a dance. No, it sounds 1950s-ish, so let's just go with it.
They didn't have much like on the TV in the 1950s because they hadn't worked out how to make good stuff yet. So they were just like, let's just film some kids dancing.
That'll get the views in. And everyone was Italian American back then.
Yeah, everyone was Italian American in the 50s for some reason.
So they take part in a dance contest that descends into chaos, which is Born to Hand Jive. That's what one of the songs are. Danny and Sandy do well, but Sonny pulls Sandy off the dance floor, allowing Cha-Cha, that's the name of the girl, to step in and win with Danny. During the last dance, Blue Moon, Sonny, Putsy, and Doody. Is that actually... That's his name, Doody? That's hilarious. Moon the national TV audience. Wow. So yeah, those are two songs that aren't actually sung by the cast.
I mean, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Blue moon, you saw me standing up.
Yeah. So there's a while before the next one. And then there's the next song, which is Rizzo singing about how she could be even more of a whore. No, okay. She thanks Sandy and muses to herself about how her sins are not as bad as they could be. There are worse things I could do is the name of the song.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, this is the thing. Like this, again, this is kind of like the Beat School Dropout, just not as long and about a more important character. So
yeah, slightly more important, but yeah, I was really getting tired of the songs at this point. I just remember thinking, ooh, I don't really care.
Just get to the fucking... So next up is... Wait, what? Okay, so apparently there's it says here there is a reprise for Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee. I don't remember that one. I have to say, I don't remember that one.
No, I don't remember that.
And by the way, actually, I saw, just doing a bit of research, obviously Sandra Dee isn't the name. It's Sandy Olsen. That's the name of the character. But initially, the name was Sandy Dabrowski, I believe. But because Olivia Newton-John was Australian, they said, okay, this girl can come from Australia, and therefore they couldn't call her Dabrowski if she came from Australia, or that was their thinking, so they called her Olsen. So that's why Sandra Dee that's why they call her Sandra Dee.
Well, they could have just come up like Dawson. They could have just come up with a name. But it actually sounds like a huge oversight when you put it like that.
Yeah. I don't know, Michael.
That's crazy.
I don't think anybody really cares about that, but yeah. So, okay. So next up is when, right at the end of the movie, when Sandy shocks everyone when she arrives with a new, wilder hairstyle and wearing a revealing black outfit and leather jacket. And in the song, Danny and Sandy reaffirm their commitment to each other with You're the One That I Want, which is
another
very
famous song.
movie.
Yeah.
You're the One That I Want.
You are the one I want.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah. In fact, actually, that's also included. I was lying because that is the lead up into Do. It's a, you're the one I want, you are the one I want, do, yeah, oh yeah, do. So when the DJ plays that at a disco, he plays those three songs. So it's Grease Lightning, it's like Grease Lightning. You're the one I want, you're the one I want, do. And that's the three songs that they play whenever some DJ gets some fine ideas about playing the Grease soundtrack. And they actually do work together quite well. To the extent I was almost willing to believe that they were in fact just one song, but they weren't. And yeah, to be honest, the problem with that is the song would be fine if it was actually the conclusion to a romantic arc that anybody cared about. So the song itself isn't the problem, and the song's pretty okay. I mean, the song's quite good. I'd say it's probably as good as the other two that are famous. But yeah, the fact that, and also what it does, it's just a conclusion song saying, hey, we're in love, is fine, but you don't care about that if it's kind of like the equivalent to watching a really intense action scene between two characters you don't care about.
Yeah, fair enough. So last one is We Go Together, which is literally 30 seconds after You're the One That I Want ends. That's the thing. There's a lot of big gaps in this movie when there's no songs, and there's just two. Right at the end. So the We Go Together bit is when...
We go together, shabba-doo-boo-ba-doo. They get a scat man and they all start scatting.
Yeah. Danny and Sandy depart into a red hot rod, which takes flight, so they wave goodbye to their friends.
Takes flight.
That is the end of the movie.
Yeah.
we go together. See, here's the thing, obviously. It's a classic not because of the plot, but because obviously the musicals. I'm not breaking any ground here saying this. The songs, basically. But the thing is, to sit through the songs, you have to sit through the movie, the plot.
Yeah.
Like the quote-unquote story. And as we've detailed before, there is not much of that. And it's pretty shit. So, yeah, obviously I understand why this movie is so popular, why 40 years later we're doing a review about it. And obviously, like, as you mentioned, songs are still being played by DJs 40 years later, like in a row, and everybody knows the lyrics, and they're some of the most well-known songs ever. But still, I'm sorry, even though we can praise the music, the fact is that it's just
Yeah.
the rest of the movie is just so shit, and I can't get past that. Like, I just can't imagine watching this and thinking, oh yeah, I enjoyed that. Because although, like we said, the music it's decent in some parts it isn't, but for the most part I'd say it's pretty decent. Just the amount of just awful stuff is just overwhelming.
Yeah, it's like if Zack Snyder was good at directing music scenes instead of good at directing action scenes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. The Batman v Superman, that the movie when there's this incredible Batman action scene. Yeah. And it's like, wow.
So if someone made a Batman film where he did an incredible musical number, you know, it would be an incredible musical number, but I don't know if I'd enjoy it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I guess people just don't care about the plot then. It's beloved because of all the rest. Yeah. In terms of the music, they just
I
don't
blame
give a
white
shit.
people, to be honest.
Yeah. Like, how can you sit through this movie?
Honkies ruined cinema.
They did. So, I think we've done the music.
Characters.
We need to do the cast now. Yes, the characters. So, first up, John Travolta as Danny Zuko, who lives a double life as the leader of the Greaser gang, the T-Birds, and as Sandy's boyfriend.
Yeah. So he is fine.
Danny
say?
Zuko.
See, the thing about John Travolta is it's really weird to think this is kind of like his film he started with, and then he just went immediately to being gangster films and then being a crazy person.
Yeah,
that was his progression.
Looking back on this movie, knowing what John Travolta's done with his life over the past 40 years is hilarious, really, to be honest. What's the last movie he released? It was... I'm going to look it up, because it got like 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Battlefield Earth?
It was not Battlefield Earth.
Because that was ages ago, actually, yeah.
Oh god, John Travolta's filmography is going to be... It's going to be very long. Yeah, so... What were you going to say?
I was going to say, but yeah, I guess he's a handsome guy, which is kind of, well, he's handsome in like a weird way. Like, I can imagine people finding him handsome, but it's kind of weird.
It's Gotti, Michael. That's it.
Gotti. That's it, yes.
Gotti. It's a 2000 American biographical crime film.
It's also a song by a terrible rapper.
Yes.
So, there you go. But yeah, he's, the character himself, like...
Well, he's actually at the time, he was like a sex symbol. He was like He's probably like the sexiest man. I don't know if they did that kind of stuff back then. Probably did. So he was probably like number one. Like, you know. So that was, and it all went downhill after that. But yeah, even like the name, Danny Zuko. Have you ever heard of the last name Zuko?
Well, Zuko is a character in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh my god. Thanks for that.
Let me tell you about my anime.
So yeah, John Travolta as Danny Zuko. The thing is, when he sings, it's so different to his actual voice.
Yeah,
it's so
very
much deeper.
Confusing.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah. On to Olivia Newton-John as Sandy Olsen, Danny's girlfriend and an Australian expatriate, and what the fuck is this word? Ingenue?
Oh, I know what that word... Okay, so do you know Stefan Molyneux? He uses the word... It's pronounced ingenue?
Ingenue.
But I don't really know what it means.
Okay, it's generally a girl or a young woman who is endearingly innocent and wholesome.
Got you. All right, that's it. Okay. Yeah, I've heard the term used. So, Stefan Molyneux.
Stefan Molyneux has used that.
It makes it terrible.
It's quite creepy.
The thing is, he used it. So you know the term Mary Sue.
Yes.
It's a pretty easy term to use. You know, everyone's clear on the term Mary Sue. Instead of calling Rey in Star Wars: The Force Awakens a Mary Sue, he referred to her as an all-powerful ingenue. What a pretentious twat. It's like, and Rey's an all-powerful ingenue. And that shows how feminism hates men. That was basically his argument.
Yes, it's
Pretty
funny how
great.
it's funny how everything means feminism hates men. It's just funny there. But yeah. So Olivia Newton-John. So this character, Sandy Olsen, up until the last scene, she might be the whitest person ever. Like, just if you think of white stereotypes, it's like it's her.
Yeah, she definitely should say the phrase "golly gee" when she has sex.
Golly gee.
Well, golly gee.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing about her. So she sounds like not very Australian.
She sounds a
like
bit Australian.
She sounds. See, the weird thing is, she sounded slightly Australian towards the end of the film. Like, there were some bits towards the end. Like, in the beginning, I think she sounded kind of like just a generic 1950s American to me. She was like, well, hi there, I'm an American, and I'm really just so innocent, because it's the 50s, and I don't realize how messed up our society is yet. And then suddenly, by the end, it's just like, how's it going, you cunt?
Yeah.
Good to see you. Let's go on this flying car and just go off into the sunset to Adelaide.
Adelaide. Best place on fucking earth, that is. Fucking love Adelaide, mate.
You know, people in
Fucking
Melbourne hate people in Adelaide.
What about people in Sydney?
I think people in Sydney probably hate people from... It's either going to be like Canberra or Newcastle or not, you know, the Newcastle in New South Wales. Obviously.
Yeah, I get that, Michael.
I feel like people from Brisbane would hate people from... is it called Cairns? I think it's called Cairns.
I don't know. What about people from Perth? Who do they hate?
Well, that's the thing. See, they can't hate anyone. That's the problem. Because they're just looking around. I think people from Perth
really big
can only
issue.
hate other people from Perth. I think they've got to have like an internal rivalry. It's their only option. Actually, no, there is a place called Cowluga, which sounds like the most Australian term ever. Like, you can't even say Cowluga without it being an Australian accent. Oh wait,
how do you know so much about Australia? Cowluga.
Well, you know what it is? I think it's just because I'm a really big fan of maps.
That is the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Anyway, so yeah,
Olivia Newton-John.
She didn't sound that Australian. She sounded kind of Australian, but I really thought to myself, like, oh, I want to see a proper Aussie be like, all right, let's go see the Blob.
Yeah. So thing is with Olivia Newton-John, I think she's got like the most like perfect face.
Luke loves Olivia Newton-John.
That's the thing. It's not even like I'm attracted. It's like she's just like everything is just so like perfect. Like she was designed in a lab. Like a team of scientists like did like the most perfect face of a female, and you know, there you go. It's Olivia Newton-John. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, she's really pretty.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. By the way, obviously she had a singing career before and after this. She did the "Let's Get Physical" song.
Let's get physical.
Yeah, that was her. So yeah, apparently that
should be in Greece.
Yeah, the video that accompanied that song was quite controversial. So she had a bit of a bad girl kind of image after that, which is interesting.
I blame Danny Zuko.
Yeah, it was fucking John Travolta won it.
Tell you what though, at least she didn't become a Scientologist.
Pure girl.
You know, like it would have been.
Well,
much
maybe
worse.
she has.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe she has. Everyone has.
So next up is Stockard Channing. What a weird name, Stockard. Stockard Channing as Betty Rizzo, Kanicki's girlfriend and the cynical leader of the Pink Ladies clique. So at first, I thought she was going to be a lesbian, but then I realised this movie came out in 1978, so she wasn't going to be a lesbian. And obviously she is somebody's girlfriend. So yeah, what do you think of Stockard Channing, Michael?
I mean, she's kind of just like a stereotype, so there's not really much you can say about her. She's just like the stereotypical, I don't want to say like empowered, but I guess, well, kind of empowered. Like, she's kind of the stereotypical, hey, I just need a man who's gonna, I mean, I know she's not got that accent.
What was that?
I just need a man who's got what I need. Have you got what I need, son? You know, that's what she's like. She's a bit like Danielle Bregoli. She's a real Danielle Bregoli. If she was around nowadays, she'd be like, hi, bitch.
Yeah, she'd definitely swear if she was around today.
She would definitely
she
say
also
bitch. She'd sound like an elongated bitch. Like, bitch, look at that guy. He looks like a whole load of meat. I want him. She keeps becoming black.
Yeah, why is she black? Well,
I want him right now.
So, she played First Lady Abby Bartlett in the NBC television series The West Wing. So that's where I recognize her from. because I watched The West Wing. So I was like, I swear I've seen her before. And yes, she played somebody in The West Wing. So that makes sense. So there you go. Stockyard.
Oh my
Tammy.
god, look at the size of this house. I ain't never been in a house this big in all my life.
Okay, this is getting quite racist now. That's how I
right.
feel. Yeah.
I feel a bit like, you know when in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Dee does her impression of a Puerto Rican reporter who's really sassy?
I think so.
Yeah, and it's like her viral thing. She's like, when they make a viral video, she's like, hello, she's like, excuse me, can I ask you something? Oh dear. Anyway.
God. So we got Jeff Conaway as Kaneki, Danny's best friend, Rizzo's love interest, and the owner of Greased Lightning. Oh, so the car is actually called Greased Lightning. So Jeff Conaway, does a fine job, apart from when he gets knocked out by a car door. That's when you realise that he's not so hard. So what did you think of this character, Kaneki?
I mean, there's not really much to say about him apart from the fact that he gets knocked out by a car door.
Yeah, that's the one thing I can think of with him. Gets knocked out by... He'll never recover from that.
Yeah.
He never will. Doesn't matter whatever he does. It's like, hey, when you're the guy that got knocked out by a car door.
Yeah, even if he comes back in Grease 2 and he's like a real badass and he single-handedly shoots a whole load of scorpions in the face, he'll still be the guy who got knocked out by a car door.
Yeah. Barry Pearl up next as Doody, a member of the T-Birds. He pairs with Frenchie at the school dance. So this is the brown-haired one, I believe. Anyway, yeah.
Does that mean that Danny Zuko's gang is called the T-Birds?
Yes.
Because it's quite funny that I came up with the word hummingbirds, and that was just me.
They're the T-Birds. Like, how could we forget?
I had forgotten, but maybe that was subconsciously in my mind when I said hummingbirds.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe that's where I got it from. But yeah, T-Birds. That seems like a dumb name.
So well, Thunderbirds. That's what it means, doesn't it?
Of course, yeah.
Not so dumb anymore, is it?
Yeah, wow. Because the Thunderbirds are cool. Yeah. See, I mean, I feel like the Thunderbirds was in the 60s, so
yeah, I think it was referring to not the TV series like Cars.
The concept.
Yeah, the concept of Thunderbirds.
Yeah, the concept of birds made out of thunder.
Yeah, sounds cool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like imagine a bald eagle shooting thunder.
When are we going to review the live-action early 2000s remake of Thunderbirds, the film?
There was a live-action remake of Thunderbirds?
Yeah, and I think McFly, or Busted, wrote the theme tune, and it's like, the Thunderbirds are go.
So early 2000s.
It's so funny.
So next up we got Michael Tucci as Sully Leteria, a trouble-making wannabe womanizer and T-Bird who courts Marty with little success over the course of the film.
Yeah.
So this guy's the one who looks about 35.
Yes.
So he was born in 1946. The actor.
So he was 30. He was 32, right?
Yes. He was 32 at the time of filming. So that's not surprising he looks about 35.
Yeah.
Great casting there. We've got Kelly Ward as Putsy. A number
Did you
of
say Kellyanne Conway?
No, I didn't. Kelly Ward. Yeah. The blonde one, I believe. Dee Dee Conn as Frenchie. Sandy's closest friend in the Pink Ladies and an aspiring beautician. Well, that didn't go too well, did it?
No.
Yeah. So.
How embarrassing. Slide whistle sound effect.
She gets her own song, which is more than Doody or Sonny or Putsy or even Kaneki. I don't think Kaneki gets sung on his own. So fair play to Frenchie for doing that. Yeah, she's got a really weird voice. It's really squeaky. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Michael. It's just weird. We've got Jamie Donnelly as Jan, a quirky man of the Pink Ladies who has a liking for Ipana toothpaste. What? So that's her main characteristic, that she likes Ipana toothpaste. Fucking hell. Wow. And the last one, Dina Manoff as Marty Maraschino, a member of the Pink Ladies whose attractiveness regularly draws the attention of men, including Sonny and Vince Fontaine. Yeah, so when that Vince Fontaine guy talks to her, he says a really creepy line. Bearing in mind this girl could be 17 years old and he's like 40. He says, hey, girl, or maybe he doesn't say girl, he says, hey, do you know that your parent, or do your parents know that I come into your bedroom every night? Or something like that.
Yes, that was
strange. Do you remember
strange.
that line? Yeah, it was like, okay. Okay, that's how it was back then. Then fair enough.
Yeah.
He would be called a nonce nowadays, Michael. And yeah, so those are all the characters basically in Grease. And so yeah, I think we're ready to wrap up.
Yes,
What do
let's
you
wrap
think?
it up.
Let's wrap it up.
Do you want to wrap up first, Luke?
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the reviews here, Michael. And a reviewer on the initial release in June 1978 called the film terrific fun, describing it as contemporary fantasy about a 1950s teenage musical, a larger, funnier, wittier, and more imaginative than Hollywood movie with a life that is all its own. Okay, so that is not the case, and obviously if you said to someone who liked Grease, why do you like it? Well, they'd probably come up with something like this, albeit probably less eloquent, and they'd probably, and if you ask somebody, well, why is Grease so popular? They'd say, well, because it's just really a lot of fun. But I'm sorry, I just can't have fun when at various points in the movie I was just so bored. Like, I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like we mentioned before with Danny Zuko and his baseball stuff, it's like, what is going on here? The fucking song about high school beauty dropout or whatever it was, and then just the story, which it just wasn't there. You know, I was expecting something that was just because this movie is heralded. It's like, oh, Grease is so good. It's such a fun movie. I was expecting something like a story, something that wasn't like, oh, they're back together. Now they're not. Now they are. Now they're not. Now they are. Now they're not. Over and over throughout the movie. And things not making sense as to why Sandy would get back together with Danny, and Danny doing stuff which doesn't make sense in trying to get back Sandy. It's just like, what the hell? How can you just look past these glaring issues in this movie? And I'm sorry to anybody who does like it. I don't, and I think I'm probably gonna give this a 3 or a 4 out of 10. I haven't decided. Let's go 3.5. 3.5 out of 10 for Grease, which is a shame because I was thinking it would be decent because, like I said, it's a classic, but it just was not good. It was just not good at all.
Yeah, I think this film, it wasn't a good high school drama. There are good high school dramas in a variety of decades. And it wasn't really a great musical, I wouldn't say, because, for example, I mean, I don't like that many musicals, but my classic musicals that I am pretty fond of are West Side Story and Oliver. And both those, you know, I mean, they've got some songs where I'm like, I don't really care about these songs, but, you know, generally speaking, they're pretty hit, not very miss. This film was pretty miss, not very hit in terms of the music, and in terms of the story, there wasn't one.
Yes.
It definitely wasn't as entertaining as that scene in Indiana Jones where Shia LaBeouf punches that guy in the face in the diner, and then they go, "Get that greaser," and then they have a big fight. Classic. This film, on the other hand, was just, you know, nothing. I mean, I don't know. They should have just come up with a plan. They should have been like, okay, there's going to be a fight between the Scorpions and the T-Birds, and then meanwhile Danny Zuko needs to get with this girl, and then the film can end. But instead, yeah, it's kind of just like, it's like if someone took the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films and they just isolated the Mary Jane Peter Parker relationship drama and nothing else. And as we all know, the Mary Jane Peter Parker relationship drama is the worst part of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. So it's basically just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to break up with you, because now I'm going to be back together with you. But now I'm going to break up with you. That's the film. And all in all, I think the most important thing is this film was worse than Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
But I also think, you know, I mean, I think it's worse than a lot of things. And that's why I'm going to put it also below so I'm putting it below Mamma Mia, but I'm also putting it below The Last Jedi, Tomb Raider, and Jurassic World.
Wow.
Because, you know, I mean, each just that, and to be honest, you know, I think, I mean, it's next to Daddy's Home 2, and that's where I think it should be. That's where I think, I mean, you know, they're both kind of just silly films that don't really have any point and no plot and are dumb. So that's where it really belongs. It's not a classic, and it should just stay. All Grease needs to contribute to the world going forward is when you're at a disco, just do the Grease Lightning dance. And to be honest, the other songs, I don't actually know how you would dance to either of the other two songs, so really they should just have the Grease Lightning song. Because
Yeah.
it's classic.
Yeah, so I think we summed it up well. This movie is basically about relationship drama with some songs thrown in. Some of the songs are good and catchy and fun, but some of them, again, aren't. So, yeah. Overall, pretty poor. And yeah, having watched this, I just can't believe people like Grease so much. I just can't believe it. But there you go. Just one of the things maybe I'll never understand. Anyway, Michael, what have we got next week?
I
you
can
checked
tell you,
before,
we
didn't you?
have, next week, we have, dun 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 dun, dun, Charge, we have The Fugitive.
The Fugitive. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tune in for that. And we're almost up to going to watch some classic films, which we're all looking forward to. Like, we've got Sleepless in Seattle after that, so tune in for that too. And then after that, we're going to stop looking at weird films from the past.
What's after that?
Actually, no, wait, we're still going to look at weird films from the past. Well, kind of from the past. After that is Spider-Man 3, which is going to...
No, that counts as a weird film.
Okay, well, after that is The Descent, which we're actually... The only reason we're reviewing The Descent is because I think it's a really good film. So, there we go. We're actually reviewing a film that we're reviewing solely because I think it's good, which is quite nice. All the horror films we're reviewing, I think, are going to be quite good.
Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for listening to our review of Grease. We've been selecting and reflecting on it. Sadly, did not live up to predetermined expectations. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
And thanks for joining us today. Join us next week for The Fugitive. Goodbye.
Goodbye.